Welcome to Skinner and Chalmers' Weekly Roast. Today, the Afterlife's Appetizers, unraveling the mysteries of necromancy.
Greetings, dear listeners, and welcome to another enlightening episode of Skinner and Chalmers' Weekly Roast. I'm your host, Seymour Skinner, and with me, as always, is my esteemed co-host, Dr. Gary Chalmers.
And good day to you, one and all. I'm Dr. Gary Chalmers, and we hope this episode finds you in the best of spirits and ready to embark on a journey through the eerie yet enthralling world of necromancy.
Indeed, Chalmers. But before we dive deeper into today's topic, let's hear the latest news about Robot Skinner. I'm guessing you're all eager to hear what's going on.
Oh yes, luckily I can tell you that it's good news. But why should we tell you secondhand when Overwatch can tell you in person? Anna and Echo have sent us another voice message via WhatsMimi, and we're going to play it out loud for you.
Oh yes. Listen for yourself. We were beside ourselves.
Hello there, Memmerfield. Anna and Echo from Overwatch here. There is very good news about the Robot Skinner case. Thanks to a few tips from anonymous observers, we were able to track down Robot Skinner. Since we were able to locate his position last weekend, a daring operation has been set up in a short space of time.
That's right. I was in the field when we captured RoboSkinner. My ultimate ability is the reorganization of neural networks, which is why I can copy the abilities of others for a short time. So I had RoboSkinner's abilities at my disposal for a few seconds and was able to utilize the creation of his portals, or, in this case, use them to track him during a possible escape to another dimension. Fortunately, none of this was necessary.
Right. Strangely enough, he hadn't really put up much of a fight. He turned himself in and said, and I quote, "I know I made mistakes. Even if it seems unbelievable, everything I've done is for the best for everyone, especially for my brother Skinner and his partner Chalmers."
Nevertheless, we had encountered security incidents and had several Overwatch members involved in the mission, including Tracer, Symmetra, and Winston, as well as Mercy. But everything went smoothly, so yes, we were finally able to capture RoboSkinner again. And don't worry, I won't be dropping by your house again unannounced to spread the good news.
We hope this news will help you sleep a little more soundly. What happens next is still somewhat uncertain. Firstly, RoboSkinner has been deported to a psychiatric center, where he is receiving professional help. In addition, all available evidence is being analyzed, especially the petrocans he had with him last week. So far, based on the evidence, RoboSkinner cannot actually be charged with anything, which is why the judge decided to release him from custody.
Exactly, but the investigation is of course continuing, or rather is only just beginning. I wonder what he did with his portals. He must have done something. Oh, yes, before I forget, I discovered a dusty videocassette in his stationary shelter where we caught him. I don't know what he did with it, but it seems to have been played a lot, according to forensics. It said memories of better times, in brackets, not unlimited steam.
You can probably make more sense of this information than we have so far. If we need you as a source of information or witnesses, we will contact you again. In any case, the videotape will be analyzed.
Oh yes! I also made sure that this VS tape can be shown in your podcast due to the great public interest, unless the content on it is exclusively for internal storage. I thought you might like that, since RoboSkinner is still your twin Skinner.
Oh yes, Echo really put in a good word for you in the higher courts. Let's see what the evaluation of the tape shows. We'll be sure to report back to you. So much for the update. And now, have a nice weekly roast later. Over and out.
See you next time. When it gets a bit quieter again, we can also meet up again. Also with Sonic, Shadow, and Yugi.
Maybe for a barbecue or something. Maybe everyone should bring their own food because we can try out other people's favorite recipes.
Indeed, although unfortunately, I can't eat anyway. But yes, see you then. Bye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Well, that sounds more than mysterious. Thank you, Anna and Echo, for sharing this update with us and our wonderful viewers.
I agree with that. Now, I'd just love to know what's on the video cassette.
Only time will tell. Ooh, but yes, Skinner, we can rest assured Robo Skinner has been caught by Overwatch, so all is well.
Oh, yes. That's a 10-ton weight off my mind. Now we can relax and move on to today's topic. A little unusual at first, but it will certainly be exciting. The suggestion came again from Magpie Teen 62. Thank you. And well, it's about necromancy. So, necromancy has been making headlines lately, and not just in the realms of fantasy and horror. Recently, our neighbor, Sonic, yes, the one with the supersonic speed and his hedge, has been seen around town with an odd assortment of arcane artifacts.
That's not all, Seymour. Shadow, the ever-mysterious figure and one of our best friends here, has been spotted near the local cemetery at odd hours. It's as if they're both part of a modern-day necromancy tale.
Fascinating, isn't it? But let's not jump to conclusions. Before we speculate any further, let's define what necromancy truly is. It's the practice of supposedly communicating with the dead, often for the purpose of divining the future or discovering hidden knowledge.
And it has a long history reaching back into ancient cultures. The Egyptians, for instance, had elaborate rituals to ensure the dead could find peace in the afterlife.
The Egyptians, always so considerate of their deceased. Now, while we're on the topic of history, I can't help but reminisce about our own historical moment here in Memafield. Remember when I accidentally summoned last year's Thanksgiving leftovers?
How could one forget? Your culinary necromancy led to a feast that lasted for days. But speaking of popular culture, necromancy has been a recurring theme in literature and film. From The Witcher to The Frighteners, it's a concept that captivates and terrifies us in equal measure.
Absolutely, Gary. And let's not forget the countless video games where players dabble in the arcane, summoning creatures from beyond. It's a testament to how deeply embedded this concept is in our collective imagination.
Yeah, it's a reflection of our fascination with the unknown and the fear of death. Necromancy represents that thin line between life and what lies beyond.
And it's this very line that brings us to today's topic. We want to hear from you, our beloved listeners. Have you ever encountered something that made you question the boundary between life and death? Do you believe in ghosts and any of that sorts, or is it all just myth and legend?
We encourage you to share your stories, theories, and beliefs. You can reach out to us through the known social media platforms, for example, in the YouTube comments.
It's going to be a spook-tacular exchange, I can feel it. And now let's transition into a personal anecdote that ties our discussion to a rather unexpected place, my kitchen.
Oh, do tell. I have heard rumors about your latest cooking mishaps.
Well, it all started when I decided to impress our friends with a corpse revival cocktail. The name alone was intriguing, right? Fitting for our today's topic, but as with any experiment in the kitchen, things did not go as planned.
Oh, Seymour, your attempts at mixology are legendary. Please tell me you didn't accidentally raise something from the dead.
Accidentally? No, of course not. Let's just say that the concoction had a lively effect on our guests. The room was buzzing with energy, and for a moment, I thought I saw a shadow flit across the corner of my eye.
And did you chase it down with another round to see if it would return?
No, Gary, no. But it did spark a conversation about the history and culture of these cocktails. It turns out they were named during Prohibition as a tongue-in-cheek nod to the supposedly resurrective powers of certain spirits.
A fascinating blend of folklore and fun. It's a reminder that sometimes the line between belief and reality is as clear as the liquor in those cocktails.
Indeed. Superintendent. And with that, we've only scratched the surface of today's topic. There's so much more to explore about necromancy, its impact on culture, and the science behind it all. So, settle in, dear listeners, as we delve deeper into this mysterious subject.
And remember, whether you're a skeptic or a believer, your voice matters. We'll be here to guide you through this enchanting and sometimes eerie journey.
Let's dive into the mystical realm of necromancy, and we've got quite the tale to share. But before we do, let's address a listener's question that we've got beforehand about the legalities of necromancy.
Indeed, Seymour. Our curious listener wants to know if there are any laws against attempting to communicate with the dead.
Well, it's a complex issue. Technically, there are no laws that explicitly prohibit necromancy as a practice. However, any actions taken under the guise of necromancy could fall under various legal categories such as desecration, trespassing, or even disturbing the peace.
And let's not forget the potential for psychological evaluations if one were to claim they've communicated with the dead. It's a slippery slope, legally and ethically speaking.
Precisely, Chalmers. So, while the practice itself might not be illegal, it's always best to approach such matters with caution and respect for both the living and the deceased.
Now, let's share a tale from my own experience that ties into our theme. Some time ago, I attended a lecture on historical practices of spirit communication. The presenter recounted an incident from the 19th century involving a Ouija board and a group of mediums.
Oh, yes. The planchette gliding across the board spelling out messages from beyond. A phenomenon that has both fascinated and frightened people for generations.
Indeed. The story was chilling as the mediums received a message that seemed to come from a loved one who had passed away. But upon further investigation, it turned out to be a clever hoax orchestrated by one of the participants.
A reminder that our perceptions can be deceived, and sometimes what we experience might not be what it seems. It's a powerful lesson in skepticism and the importance of critical thinking.
Absolutely. And it brings us to an important aspect of today's discussion: the psychological and sociological impact of necromancy on individuals and communities.
Yes, Chalmers. The belief in communicating with the dead can have profound effects on a person's worldview and their interactions with others. It can be a source of comfort for some, while for others, it might represent a deeply held conviction or even a cultural heritage.
Necromancy, in all its forms, is a subject that touches on many aspects of human experience, from spirituality to science, from folklore to the law. It's a complex topic that invites us to explore the boundaries between life and death, belief and reality. Speaking of boundaries, Skinner, haven't you ever dabbled in any seance or spirit board sessions yourself? I seem to recall an incident at our house that was rather spirited.
Oh, Chalmers, you and your memory. Yes, there was an evening that will forever be etched in my culinary nightmare book. We had Yugi over for dinner, remember? He's always up for a mysterious adventure, especially when it involves ancient artifacts or the supernatural, or, well, card games.
Ah, yes. The night of the haunted planchette. I believe our conversation took a sharp turn into the metaphysical as Yugi, with a twinkle in his eye, convinced us to partake in a spirit board session after dessert.
Dessert was chilled to the bone that night. Yugi claimed he could summon spirits from beyond. I was skeptical, of course, but as the planchette started moving on its own, my skepticism turned into, let's call it, a culinary distraction.
And let's not forget the moment when the spirit board allegedly communicated with your missing casserole, Skinner. It was quite the revelation.
Now, Chalmers. I may have accidentally left a casserole in the oven, but who can blame me with all the spiritual commotion? Besides, it was a fine opportunity to test the theory of spontaneous combustion in my kitchen.
Oh, Skinner, your kitchen has seen better days, and that's saying something. But back to our topic, necromancy has been a part of human culture for centuries, often woven into the fabric of myths and legends.
Absolutely. From ancient Egypt's Book of the Dead to the Viking sagas, there are countless examples of cultures interacting with the idea of life after death. It's a fascinating exploration of our innate desire to understand the unknown.
And it's not just in ancient times. During the Renaissance, necromancy was taken very seriously. Scholars like Albertus Magnus were believed to have dabbled in these dark arts, seeking knowledge from otherworldly sources.
Indeed, Chalmers. It's a testament to how deeply intertwined science and the supernatural were at the time. Well, if you can call it science back then, one could argue that it was an early form of scientific inquiry, albeit misguided.
True. And let's not forget the impact of the Enlightenment on such beliefs. As reason and empirical evidence became more prominent, the credibility of necromancy waned.
Yes, but even as we moved into the modern era, necromancy found its way into popular culture. From horror novels to blockbuster movies, It's a narrative that continues to captivate audiences.
It's a reflection of our collective unconscious, Skinner. These stories tap into primal fears and deep-seated curiosities about the afterlife and what lies beyond.
Certainly. And with advancements in technology and the paranormal, people are now seeking evidence of life after death more than ever before. And apps for recording, devices that measure electromagnetic fields. It's a new age of ghost hunting.
And I suppose you've tried your hand at this modern-day necromancy, Skinner. With your gadgets and gizmos, you're practically a ghost whisperer in the making.
I wouldn't go that far, Chalmers. You've been playing too many rounds of phasmophobia with me, I see. But I do appreciate the technological approach to understanding phenomena that once fell under the umbrella of necromancy. It's a more rational way to explore the mysteries of life and death.
Fair point, Skinner. And as we delve deeper into this topic, let's not forget the legal implications. Necromancy has been outlawed in many places throughout history, often under witchcraft statutes.
Yes, and it's a stark reminder of how society has grappled with the fear of the unknown. Laws were enacted to protect citizens from deception and exploitation, but also to control the spread of ideas that challenged the established religious and social norms.
It's a delicate balance between belief and skepticism, Skinner. We must respect individuals' beliefs while also encouraging critical thinking and scientific inquiry.
Indeed. And as we continue our discussion on necromancy, let's keep an open mind but maintain a healthy dose of skepticism. It's the only way we can truly understand the human experience with death.
You know what I find fascinating about it? The way it transcends across different cultures and time period. From the ancient Egyptian Book of the Dead to contemporary zombie flicks, necromancy is a universal theme that captures our imagination.
Oh yes, Chalmers, the undead have always been quite captivating. I've read some of those old horror novels where they used to describe the spirits haunting the earth as an almost poetic way to explore themes of loss and longing.
That's true, but it's not just the literature or movies that depicted this theme. Video games are a whole other realm where necromancy has become quite popular.
Indeed, Chalmers. I remember playing some RPGs with necromantic elements, like being able to control the dead as minions in battle.
Exactly. And it's not just about commanding zombies or skeletons. There are games where you play as a witch doctor and use magic to raise undead creatures.
It sounds like fun, but I wonder if it influences how people perceive real-life practices related to death and the afterlife.
Well, Skinner, that's something that researchers have looked into. They argue that media representations can influence public perception, but people should understand that these are just fictional concepts, not real world skills. It's crucial for us to educate the public about the distinctions between reality and fantasy in media representations.
And let's also consider how technology has advanced our understanding of death, with cryonics being one example, which promises eternal life through freezing deceased bodies until a cure for aging is discovered.
True. While it might be seen as necromancy in the sense that people hope to resurrect themselves or others, cryonics raises more questions about consent and legal boundaries than actual magic.
It's quite ironic how what was once considered witchcraft or sorcery is now being explored by scientists and futurists.
That's the beauty of societal progress. As our understanding of science increases, we redefine what's plausible and what isn't.
And let's not forget about modern technology and virtual reality, Chalmers. They've created a sense of communicating with the beyond that wasn't possible before.
Absolutely. Vista experiences have allowed people to visit virtual graveside ceremonies or communicate through online platforms. This blurs the line between the physical world and digital realms.
I must say, it's rather funny how my tech troubles often mirror these themes of necromancies. Like that time I was trying to set up a smart home system that seemed to have taken over my house.
Ah, yes. Your attempts with technology are legendary, Skinner. It's as if you're channeling some kind of dark force each time you try.
Well, I suppose it's just one way to explain my love for gadgets gone wrong.
Yeah, you and your 1,000 Roombas are golems. You know what? That could be the perfect topic for our next episode, the necromancy of technology.
Count me in. Let's explore how technological advancements can sometimes lead us down paths we never expected.
I'm glad you're on board, Skinner. Ooh. Now, let's delve into the scientific explanations for phenomena often attributed to necromancy. Have you ever heard about electromagnetic fields or infrasound that can make people feel like they've encountered a ghost?
Ah, yes. I remember reading about those phenomena. It's fascinating how such natural occurrences can be mistaken for something supernatural.
Exactly, Skinner. And let's not forget psychology's role in these encounters. The mind is a powerful thing, capable of creating experiences that can be as real as any physical event.
That's truly remarkable. It makes me wonder how many so-called supernatural events could be explained by psychological factors.
Indeed. Now, speaking of skeptical viewpoints, there's a lot to unpack when it comes to historical and contemporary claims of raising the dead. We've got to examine these beliefs and their reasons behind them.
It's going to be quite the exploration, especially considering the cultural significance in different societies. I'm particularly interested in how these beliefs have evolved over time.
Oh, and let's not forget your recent kitchen mishap with that corpse revival cocktail. How did that catastrophic culinary adventure go again?
Well, it started off as a simple mix of absinthe, calvados, and a dash of Carpano Antico formula.
But somehow I managed to turn the kitchen into a haunted house.
There was steam that looked like smoke everywhere, and let's just say no one wanted to taste that concoction.
It sounds like something out of a horror movie, but on the bright side, it gave us a perfect segue into our next episode topic, the necromancy of technology.
Precisely. And it's not just about my domestic disasters. We can look at how technology has been mistakenly credited with all sorts of supernatural feats. Remember the Roomba incident?
How could I forget? Your army of Roombas marching like some futuristic plague was quite a sight. It was like something out of a sci-fi novel.
And I remember the time when I tried to create a golem using all those smart home devices. The result was less Frankenstein, more farce.
Oh, that was classic, Skinner. You had me convinced for a moment that you were on the verge of creating your own digital necromancer.
Well, if we're going to talk about necromancy and technology, we might as well delve into the history of cocktails named after supernatural phenomena. It's a fascinating look at how society has dealt with these concepts over the years.
Speaking of which, let's not forget the Bloody Mary zombie or Widow's Kiss. These cocktails have their own tales and legends associated with them.
Absolutely. They're more than just drinks. They're cultural artifacts that encapsulate fears, superstitions, and sometimes even a bit of dark humor.
And as we explore these cocktails, we can also touch upon the role alcohol has played in shaping our understanding of the supernatural throughout history.
That's a brilliant idea. From the Dionysian rituals of ancient Greece to Victorian-era spirit communication, booze has been both a catalyst and a comfort in confronting the unknown.
That's true. And it leads us to an interesting question. How do these historical perspectives influence our modern understanding of necromancy and similar supernatural phenomena?
That's a question that could keep us busy for weeks, Chalmers. But I think it's one worth asking, especially as we continue to grapple with what's real and what's imagined in our rapidly changing world.
Indeed, Skinner. And as we wrap up this discussion, I can't help but feel a sense of wonder at how far we've come from those ancient beliefs to our current scientific understanding of the supernatural.
It's quite a journey, isn't it? From the fears of our ancestors to the wonders of modern science, it just goes to show that our quest for knowledge is an ever-evolving path. Say, Chalmers, have you heard about the peculiar character we have in our neighborhood? An unemployed necromancer, they say.
Unemployed? That's a new profession. I must admit, the idea of someone resurrecting the dead for a chat is both comical and macabre.
Oh, it's just a casual job for the unemployed necromancer these days, is it? I can see the wanted ad now. Wanted. Necromancer with excellent communication skills. Must be able to revive deceased individuals for small talk.
Imagine the job interview for that position. Can you raise the dead and make pleasant conversation? Yes or no?
And here I thought my cooking skills were unique. Although, I must say having a resurrected ancestor pop in for dinner would certainly ease the pressure of meal preparation.
Speaking of which, how do you suppose this necromancer deals with the culinary aspect? Do they serve traditional zombie cuisine, or have they branched out into more palatable options?
I imagine their pantry is stocked with nothing but brains and other delicacies of the living impaired. But who knows? Perhaps they've mastered the art of gourmet reanimation dinners.
A taste of eternity's dinner party, perhaps, with a side of immortal regret for eating with the undead.
Now there's an idea for a restaurant. Chesmore, dine with the departed. Reservations are highly recommended, though. I hear they have a 100 no-show policy.
And I bet their Yelp reviews are a mix of life-changing experience and not ideal for picky eaters.
Indeed, Chalmers. Indeed. It's a niche market, but I can see it catching on. 5 stars. The ambiance was hauntingly beautiful.
Oh, and the service. You can't beat the undead for attentiveness. They'll follow you home if the tablets are left on the table.
I suppose that solves the problem of tipping. Leave your ghostly waiter a coin from beyond and he'll stick around until you return with more currency.
Now, Skinner, let's pivot to a slightly less morbid topic. Have you been keeping up with the latest in interdimensional travel?
Ah, yes. Theoretically speaking, of course, I must admit. The idea of hopping between dimensions is as exciting as it is terrifying.
It's like having a universal remote for reality. In one moment you're watching your favorite sitcom, and the next you're an extra in the background.
And imagine the potential for dinner parties. A different dimension for each course. Appetizer on Mars, soup in Venus, salad on Jupiter.
Just be careful not to bring back any invasive species or, let's say, evil twins. We wouldn't want to disrupt our local ecosystem with an interdimensional plant or two.
True. We'd have to set up a quarantine for any extraterrestrial vegetables. Cosmic crudite. Deliciously space approved. But what do you mean with evil twin? Echo, just send us the latest audio and spread the news that my evil twin was captured by Overwatch.
That's true, but it seems like Robo-Skinner was messing a lot with dimensions. Even Shadow whispered that to me. Maybe he was the anonymous source for Overwatch. He did feel a disturbance in the Force.
Well, that sounds bad. But don't worry about it, it's probably just gossip.
It certainly is. Now back to a more fun topic, so about your vegetables. I can already see the ad campaigns. Don't let your interdimensional dining experience end in tragedy. Always check the cosmic coyotes.
It's a public service announcement waiting to happen. Intergalactic intercourse. Do it safely.
Oh, Skinner, you and your puns. But seriously, the potential for cross-dimensional communication is fascinating. Imagine if our Necromancer friend could reach across the veil for a little culinary advice.
That would indeed be a sight. A ghostly gourmet guiding us through the mysteries of the universe in the kitchen.
It's a beautiful thought, though I suppose we should stick to our own dimension for now, unless you're looking for a new dishwasher.
A dishwasher with a penchant for poltergeisting. Now there's a selling point. Our appliances haunt you with cleanliness, not dishes.
We're turning into quite the sales team for the odd and extraordinary. Next thing you know, we'll have our own specialty shop.
Skinner and Chalmers, purveyors of the paranormal and pristine. Where else can you find a perfect blend of hauntings and hygiene?
It's got a nice ring to it, but for now, let's keep our feet firmly planted in this dimension, shall we?
Agreed, unless you're proposing a new kind of dimension. Popping potluck, in which case, count me in.
Only if you bring the vegan brains for the undead guests. I'll handle the ambiance and the interdimensional etiquette.
You drive a hard bargain, Chalmers. But as long as we're not actually summoning the dead for next dinner, I'm in.
And there you have it, folks. A typical Monday evening with Skinner and Chalmers taking about the wonders of the afterlife and the cosmos. Join us next week when we tackle the next interesting topic.
Until then, keep your dimension in check and your spirits lively. Good night, listeners.
Good night, and remember, don't feed the zombies after midnight.
Bye.